Christopher OKIGBO is a very important post-colonial African poet who wrote in English. He belonged to the Western African nation of Nigeria. Nigerian poet, writer and librarian. He belonged to the Igbo tribe. The major tribes of Nigeria are the Igbo, the Yoruba and the Hausa Fulani. So Chinua Achebe and Christopher OKIGBO, they belong to the Igbo tribe. His father was a teacher in Catholic missionary schools in British colonial Nigeria. British colonial Nigeria means Nigeria had been under the control of the British Empire from the mid-19th century to the 1960s. And Christopher OKIGBO was born in 1932 in colonial Nigeria. That is when Nigeria was under British control. His father was a devout Catholic teacher, and despite being a devoted Christian family, OKIGBO was deeply influenced by the native Igbo culture. He believed in the Igbo myths, stories, and he has used Igbo symbols like the river goddess Idoto in his poems. The Idoto was a river that flowed through his village, and he has used this river in one of his most famous poems, Heavensgate. He also believed that he himself was a reincarnation of his maternal grandfather, who used to be a priest of Idoto. He wanted to take a degree in medicine, but then he chose to do his BA in classics from University of Ibadan in 1956 in Nigeria. And later on he worked as a teacher and librarian at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. He was well versed in Greek and Latin classics, and he had also read T.S. Eliot and Ezra Pound. So his poems blended ideas, themes and images from the classics and from Igbo or Igbo mythology. So it was a very beautiful blend of modern and ancient, also of European and African ideas, sensibilities, themes and images. His poems are quite obscure, they are difficult to understand, and they are rich in symbols and allusions, and sometimes it is difficult to grasp the meaning of the lines that he has written. He used to write about trees, rivers, gods and goddesses and the streams of the Igbo landscape. And river Idoto is present in his famous poem Heavensgate. Now this river is a very important symbol in the poems that he has written. So while he was busy writing and bringing out a magazine, and at this point of time Nigeria was going through a terrible crisis. Nigeria got freedom from Britain in October 1960, and immediately after that what happened? Problems cropped up in Nigeria. So the Biafran region in Nigeria, which is the eastern and southern part of Nigeria and dominated by the Igbo population, this particular region of Africa felt that they were being exploited, and the government was not treating them on a par with the other people. So they decided to secede or separate from the Nigerian state. Now the government of Nigeria was controlled by the Hausa Fulani tribe, and the Igbo people felt at odds with them. That means the Igbo people felt that they were not being treated properly by the Hausa Fulani dominated government, and they declared war against Nigeria because they wanted to form a separate nation, the nation of Biafra. So what happened was civil war broke out in Nigeria because Biafra wanted the status of a separate nation and it seceded from Nigeria. Immediately after this, what happened was Christopher OKIGBO, who had been working in Ibadan, he relocated to the eastern part of Nigeria because he was also very passionate about the Biafran cause, and he wanted to protect the university town of Suka. The University of Nigeria was based in Suka, and he was very passionate about protecting the university town of Suka. So he moved to eastern Nigeria, and he immediately joined the Biafran army, and he was an accomplished soldier. But when the Nigerian army attacked the town of Suka, Christopher OKIGBO was killed in that ambush. So OKIGBO, we find that he is the most important post-colonial African poet in English. He is the most anthologized African poet and also the most widely translated poet from Africa. He successfully blended African ethos with modern sensibility. So with this, I come to the end of the short video on Christopher OKIGBO, the post-colonial African poet who wrote in English. Thank you.